What is this, Wily? Have you run out of ideas or something? You're talking about freaking lava. That's not important in the games.
Whoa, calm down. I know some of you love to say that I'm running out of ideas or something, but this simple hazard actually plays a big role in the games. You might not always realize it, but in a lot of 3D and 2D levels, this stuff really impacts how you're supposed to beat the level. To be honest, I first thought I wouldn't be able to make a video on it as well. However, after I started looking into it, I discovered that it's crucial in some of the most famous levels in the entire franchise. So let's find out how the lava found in the levels evolved in terms of gameplay, design, and use. The story is not going to be relevant today. Now, this stuff was seen in the world from the very beginning. In Super Mario Bros, we see it all over the place, mostly in the castle levels. And if you fall into it, then you're done for. No matter what you do, this stuff is ruthless, which was its entire goal. That's most likely why they went with lava. It's something everyone in the world immediately recognizes and also fears. That's most likely why they decided to use it in the game. It's a perfect fit, to be honest. But the fact that the NES had some graphical limitations also played a role, since they could just change the color of water found in the game to create a lava hazard. However, there's something else that also helps it a lot: the color it has. Because red really captures people's attention and overall unconsciously makes them act more direct. You won't think too much about it all, your main focus will shift to taking action. You see stuff like this being used in real life as well. For example, in my thumbnails, or with businesses like Target, who label everything red so you're more likely to impulse buy things. And I bet this played a role in Super Mario games as well. Like I said, this stuff has a bigger role than you would think, and it's very subtle. You even used lava to take care of Bowser, the main villain of the entire game. So it's important for the series in many ways, and for years upon years it played a similar type of role in the games. But everything changed when Super Mario World was released. Here Nintendo started to experiment again, creating all kinds of new challenges based around the lava hazard. Now it's still seen in a lot of places where you would expect it, however it also appears now in certain caves. Here it's a brighter color of lava and we usually see skull rafts on it, who play quite an interesting role in the game, because you need to use them. They're the only way to complete these levels, and what you need to do is utilize them to cross the lava river. In this entire situation, this small platform is kind of your lifeline. Without it, you're doomed. And since you're kinda stuck there, Nintendo can also mess with you a lot. And so an enemy known as a blarg will jump out and try to attack you, which must be avoided or it will be your end. So yet again, Nintendo is creating some new and interesting gameplay scenarios by just using the dangerous properties and reputation of lava, making for quite good and fun linear sections in the levels, as well as making for a great challenge since you're limited in a way. And in order to make people even more scared of the stuff, they added one little thing, which you will see when falling into the lava. Because if Yoshi, a power-up, or an enemy falls into the lava, they will slowly sink into it and eventually disappear. Now, as you can imagine, all of this looks absolutely horrifying. And I bet they added this to make the lava even more scary, which probably made the raft sections more interesting as well. So they were busy expanding what they could do with this hazard, as well as giving it a more interesting reputation, one that people fear. They even started to create more enemies that only appear in or around lava, like the lava bubbles, adding more danger to it. Heck, we even saw it used in the boss fights with the koopalings. Here it's a battle between you and the villain to push each other into the lava, which makes for quite a cool and also fast boss fight, where precision and perfect timing is certainly required. But when the 3D titles came around the corner, like Super Mario 64, Nintendo did something new with it all, which could be very annoying at times. Now, Nintendo couldn't just make the lava as powerful as it was in all the other games, mostly because they created worlds filled with the stuff. So if it was able to, instantly end you, it would be way too overpowered. And as you could have imagined, in Super Mario 64, the lava enemies returned as well. And together with the lava, they have a new power, because when you touch them, you will jump into the air, run around the place, and lose 3 health points. So it isn't an instant killer anymore, but you do lose a good amount of health, and since you're on fire, you will lose control for a bit, which makes getting out of harm's way even harder. So being set on fire still has huge consequences, and can also be very frustrating. And of course, Nintendo once again designed all the worlds around this in Super Mario 64, with platforms that move around and enemies like the bullies that try to knock you off. Places like Lethal Lava Land have a ton of things built into them that try to get you into the lava, making it the biggest threat in the entire world for sure. So while it did change and wasn't as lethal anymore, it's still a huge threat and affects the gameplay heavily. And in basically every 3D game, the stuff works like this, which can be annoying to deal with, to be honest. But then they once again did something quite new with it in the very next 3D Super Mario game, Super Mario Sunshine, where it plays a big role at the very end of the game. This stuff is first seen in a new form, some sort of paint-like goop that acts the same, being seen in multiple worlds. This stuff was created by the villain, but what's so different about it is that you can actually get rid of it by using Flood, making it a hazard you can work with. For example, creating some sort of path throughout it all, which can be dangerous when you're knocked off this path. And in Pianta Village, we see it used in a completely different way in a certain mission, where the player doesn't have control over it in any form, which is a nice contrast. And then we get to the end of the game, where there's yet again a lava river, but this time a different take on it all. You're going inside a volcano and need to get to the top of it, and this lava does instantly kill you, making it a much bigger threat. And in order to get to where you need to go, you will use a boat, using the handy flood on your back to move it forward, all while being harassed by enemies constantly. So this is some sort of a 3D take on the lava river stuff seen in Super Mario World, and personally I think it works well, mostly because the movement options you have in 3D and ability to fully control it make for a new experience that you decide in the end. Also, dodging enemies and obstacles in such a world just works great. So in general, Super Mario Sunshine took the concept and did something completely new with it, most of which was never ever seen in a game again, sadly enough. However, while a lot of things never made it back into any Super Mario title, they did take a lot of things a step further in the next game, Super Mario Galaxy. Here, lava returns once again, mostly being found in the Bowser and Bowser Jr. levels seen in the game. And we actually see a lot of lava in this title. Entire worlds are filled with the stuff, and mostly consist of it even, with one world being the most famous for it, Freeze Flame Galaxy, which has two themes, hot and cold, and it's a mix of the two. And another that's well known for it all is Melty Molten Galaxy, where you'll also come across a ton of lava. And in all these places, they do rely heavily on the presence of lava in order to create some major obstacles for you to overcome. They especially love to play around with moving and sinking platforms. Well, actually, platforms that do odd and unexpected things in general, which they started to mess around with a long time ago, back in the days of the N64, when they made their first 3D Super Mario game. Now, the reason why they focus on stuff like this so heavily is because touching the lava once can be your end, or at least has a huge penalty. So of course, Nintendo wants to make it as hard as possible for the players to avoid this well-known liquid of doom. And that's what the worlds are built around, from platforms that fall over, to ones that sink into the lava itself. However, there's actually a way of walking on this stuff, using the ice flower, which allows you to skate across the lava safely. But in time, it will wear out, and if you're still on the lava, you're screwed as you can imagine. But now there's at least a way of crossing it, similar to the Metal Cap, who could do the same in Super Mario 64 DS. Well, sort of. So in this game, we didn't necessarily see anything new. They just expanded on elements seen in older games, mostly stuff from Super Mario 64. And after this, nothing new happened for quite a long time. Sure, lava was still seen everywhere, but new Super Mario Bros. Games and other 3D titles did nothing new with it, or even expanded on older concepts. But then Nintendo took everything we once knew about Super Mario and threw it all away, creating something completely new. I'm of course talking about Super Mario Odyssey, a game that did a lot of things differently, and of course lava changed a lot as well. Sure, normal lava is still found in the levels, but there's a new type that's pink and truly different for one reason, because you can actually travel across it even better now by capturing a lava bubble, which is a classic Mario enemy. So now the lava isn't necessarily a danger anymore. Some sections and even entire boss fights are centered around lava now, using it as a way to get around, or even as a platform in one of the boss battles, which is quite cool, because before this was a thing, you had to avoid it at all cost. But now it's necessary to succeed, and other enemies known as Gushians can even clear away lava. So there's even an enemy which does the opposite. Again, Nintendo is experimenting with lava, making it the main mechanic in some worlds even. Like I said, no matter what you think of the lava hazard, it has always played a pretty big role, and I bet it will keep doing this for many years to come. And now all of you finally know why I wanted to cover it, because as you can see, its history is rich and plays a more important role than anyone would ever think.